Dust off a fresh sleeve and settle in because IGN's taking you back to the cyberpunk-fueled world of Netflix's Altered Carbon. It's been 2 years since the Sci-Fi series first premiered, so there are a few key terms and storylines you should freshen up on before binging Season 2 on February 27th. This is Altered Carbon Season 1 in 4 minutes. Altered Carbon Season 1 is an adaptation of Richard K. Morgan's novel of the same name, which centers on Joel Kinnaman's Takeshi Kovacs, a former envoy who had his stack imprisoned for 250 years until a meth named Lawrence Bancroft places Kovacs' stack into a new body in order to solve Bancroft's own murder. And oh boy, are there a lot of made-up words in there. So let's take a little crash course in Altered Carbon jargon before we continue with the rest of our recap. Cortical stacks, or stacks for short, are like high-tech USB drives that contain a person's memories. Each stack can be placed into any new body or sleeve. Sleeves are the bodies that stacks are downloaded into, allowing some people to essentially live forever, like the Meths, a term derived from Methuselah, a biblical figure who supposedly lived to almost 1,000 years old. These rich folks aren't biblical, they can just afford to buy new sleeves. Sleeves can also be upgraded with heightened abilities like strength and endurance. Envoys like Takeshi were an elite rebel fighting squad that was defeated centuries ago by their oppressors. Their training focused more on intense mental discipline over physical combat, since they are constantly being re-sleeved into new bodies. You see, there's usually a period of disorientation called sleeving sickness when someone is brought back to life because they have to get used to their new bodies. Envoys train to avoid these side effects, making them more effective warriors. So, now that you've got all that in your stack, let's get back to the story. Season 1 revolves around a Sherlock Holmes-style cyberpunk murder mystery, and there are a few key characters that Takeshi interacts with in Season 1 that may have roles to play in Season 2. First, there's Poe, an artificial intelligence who takes on the persona of the famous 19th century American writer Edgar Allan Poe. After all, what good is a badass protagonist without a good sidekick? Poe is the proprietor of a hotel that Kovacs uses as a base of operations while he tracks down Bancroft's murderer. And while Poe's fate is uncertain after his noble act during the Season 1 finale, an official Season 2 casting announcement from Netflix reveals that Poe is still alive, so to speak, and will once again accompany Kovacs on another adventure. Another of Kovacs' comrades in the first season is Vernon Elliott, who is reunited with his family at the end. Neither Vernon nor his daughter Lizzie are mentioned in the casting announcement for Season 2. However, we see them happily eating a meal together in the finale, so anything is possible. The same goes for Detective Kristen Ortega, who Kovacs parts ways with at the end of the finale, presumably fulfilling his promise of giving up the sleeve of Ortega's former lover and partner, Elias Riker. As far as we know, Ortega is alive and well, so a cameo in Season 2 isn't out of the question. The murder mystery is pretty neatly wrapped up in the last few episodes of the season. In short, Lawrence and Miriam Bancroft are both guilty of murder. And while we don't want to sympathize with these Meths, the Bancrofts were set up by Takeshi's psychotic sister, Raylene, who ends up getting killed by her own brother. While it's unlikely that the Bancrofts' crimes will play a role in Season 2, the final moments of Season 1 do hint at where the story is headed. Throughout Season 1, we see several flashbacks featuring Will Yoon Lee as the original Kovacs. Many of those scenes also featured Kelcrest Falconer, the inventor of stack technology and the leader of the rebellion Takeshi fought in. Oh, and they're also in love. After Raylene told Takeshi that she backed up Kel's consciousness, the former envoy is now determined to find his centuries-old love, which brings us up to Season 2, where Takeshi journeys to his home planet of Harlan's world with the hope of finding Kel in his brand new Anthony Mackie sleeve instead of the old Joel Kinnaman one. So what are you excited to see when Altered Carbon returns? Let us know in the comments. For more on the world of entertainment, check out the trailers for Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, and Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7. And for everything else, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.